Welcome to another unpacking session with Dr. Durrani. Isn't it a nice coincidence? Last time I sat here and did this, there was sunlight out there too, and there's today, so we can send you some sunshine. But today we're going to be talking about this theory of how we place people on a pedestal. So stay tuned for more. So placing someone on a pedestal is where you place, a mentor, a friend, a partner on this kind of space, or you idolize them. And this is because they openly give us encouragement, validate us, and so we really start to kind of, idolize them. This is a pattern we see in individuals who lack self-worth. And this comes, again, kind of from a childhood wound, and we're going to get into that today. When we weren't nurtured in the right way growing up, so where, encouragement was openly given, you didn't have to work for it, right? And the parent was attentive to it, or they emotionally were available to you. So it does go back to the topic we discussed last time. This is where, a child needs that support as they're growing in their brains, are developing. They're also developing this emotional connection that is a very real thing to survive. And so we often see this in those who lack that component and when they were growing up, so they really had to work hard to get their parents encouragement, or they really had to kind of strive hard to make themselves seen in front of their parents for their achievements to be acknowledged. And so what ends up happening in this is they tend to really idolize their parents. Now generally kids do idolize their parents as they're growing up, so this is a normal process as well, but when it becomes an extreme is when it kind of falls out of balance and can persist into the adulthood. The child places their parent on a pedestal because at one point the parent really is the provider of all their needs, right? And so generally, as they're growing up, that becomes a part of their requirement or part of their needs to survive, and then as we grow, we kind of detach from that. Unfortunately, for some who haven't received that, the amount of validation that you need as you grow up, they still have that wound, and they carry that wound into their adult lives. And what they're trying to do then, as they kind of put people on pedestal, is they're trying to heal that wound, which is still present with them. And so what ends up happening is that you're actually acting from this inner child wound as an adult, and you're trying to soothe it using kind of that validation from other people. Now, where's the flaw in this? The flaw in this model is now two things. One, what you're trying to heal is a wound in the past. Two, the person you needed then isn't the person you're actually trying to get the healing from. So the present person that you've idolized isn't going to help fix that wound, because what you needed was the attention from that particular person back then. Now, what tends to happen with this is, for example, let's say in present day, we have this wound from the past, and now we've idolized a present person, a person in the present. What happens if this person moves away? Or what happens if this person emotionally withdraws from us? That wound opens up. It comes gushing out. We experience a crash of emotions, and it really is a lot of intense pain. So it's kind of like, pain from the past plus more collective hurts on top of that. And so that wound gets reactivated again. What you were trying to do is use that present person as a way to get temporary relief. So it's kind of like a temporary relief for that part within you that is hurting and still an open wound. This is a very dangerous place to be, because what you've done is you've given the key to your healing to a person outside of you who can actually help you heal that wound. And so when they move away, or an argument happens, or they distance, or they completely are gone from your life, you're left keyless. So then the question, what can be done? Can this wound be healed? And the answer is yes. First, we must identify the wound. So first, we must know that we're acting from this place, that we have in fact, yes, idolized someone, and that this is occurring as a result of an inner child wound from our past. Now, once we've identified this, we need to begin nurturing that wound. And who needs to be the person who does that nurturing? Yes, the parent wasn't present back then, or whoever it was, but you can be present for yourself. So you need to be the person in charge of nurturing the wound, because the key has to stay with you. Part of this is As you become an adult, do you need that external kind of nurturing? To a certain point, yes. So, there is this very real part of us being social creatures, and, constantly competition is kind of part of our survival. But just for a person who has that extremely low self-worth, they're not even kind of on par with the normal societal, I would say, kind of functionality. So for them, they really need to be the ones doing the work. They need to become the parent that wasn't present in the past and take care of the child that is still hurting today within them. And so how can we do this? So this can be words of encouragement to yourself, doing therapy, processing the emotions that you've held on from that time. A whole bunch of slew things can come out, from anger to frustration to sadness, grief, etc. So processing all of that, and then forgiving that, the person, and then also yourself. That's a huge part of this. Another part is allowing yourself room for failure. So a lot of us hold ourselves to such high standards because of how hard you've had to work as a child to get that attention as a child. And sometimes, the child never got that attention. And so you're still holding yourself accountable for that. So, I'm not getting attention from my parent as a child, so 5-year-old, etc., because I must have done something wrong. So I need to do better. And so you strive to do better and better and better. And these people tend to be overachievers. And that bar that you're measuring yourself with no longer exists. That parent might not be there in your life, or there might be, and they still might just be the way they are and not kind of giving you praise. But you can praise yourself now as an adult. You can be that parent for yourself. Now, what can happen if you continue to idolize someone or you place them on that pedestal? We can be very unforgiving towards them. So one of the other parts to this is where you begin to punish that person. So if this person, because you've idolized them, you've always made them like a godlike figure, right? And so what can happen in this situation is that if they were to make a mistake, and God forbid the mistake be against you, you will start to experience, again, a range of emotions as to how dare they do this. And what you've really done is you've made them godlike. And you've taken away the right for them to be human, and to be human means to be able to make mistakes. Things we want to ask is, are they worthy of my unforgiving nature? Is this coming from a place of their hurt, or is this coming from a place of my hurt? Is this coming from a place of a mistake that was truly that large, or is this coming from a place of where I have exaggerated this to be that large because of my pain? So I've used my pain kind of as this magnifying glass, and I'm viewing their mistake as a result of it, right? Like, how dare they commit this mistake towards me? And then you start to neglect them, you punish them, and because you made them your everything, right? You're like, this person, is my everything, my caretaker, my validator, my everything. And that is not realistic. We need to understand that no one can be everything for you. Not your spouse, not your friends, not your parents, not your siblings. There are different roles that everyone plays, and the most important role that we play as a caretaker is for ourselves. We for ourselves. So me taking care of myself, of my needs. What I need, I will go and get. And because as children, when you haven't received your needs, or they weren't met, you then tend to seek it externally, which is a very real thing. And then as adults, we seek that external validation, right? And that's kind of where this putting a person on a pedestal can occur. I hope this provides insight. If you find yourself in this place, know that there is a way to work out of it. It's a very real thing that a lot of people experience, this godliness or kind of idolizing someone. And I hope this video kind of gives you future insight into how to nurture that inner wound.